Hey. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. Look like I'm getting a little juddering. You know, we on a little streaming struggle right there. Let's let the system catch up with us. You know, we got a real important episode to do today. Cause everyone's acting like we're not close to the election 2024, and we can still be kind of plotting and strategizing how we gonna campaign. You know, that's over. Whatever you done, you're done. And if it didn't work, you'll already know it didn't work. Effective with today, there's no need. It's 29 more days before the election comes, and it's just ridiculous. I don't even understand why. It's just people think it's going to be some other outcome and everything like that. But let's just talk about it. But before we talk about it, I just want to come on because, you know, I follow so many people, or at least kind of dip in on their streams and everything and keep up with them and everything. Anti-Daniels of antidaniels.com. Marquette Devon Burton of Saint and Center, Fresh and Fit. Myron and Walter and everything, and Patrick Bet David and his team and everything from Valuetainment. Piers Morgan, Megan Kelly, Candace Owens, what to say? I'm not forgetting a lot of people that I check out. So many people is, you guys go to my podcast on Rumble, because most of my episodes are on Rumble. I decided that I got to come over to YouTube. I'm trying to play within the parameters of YouTube because I don't really play that stuff. I don't really like to be beholden to what's just come out of my mouth, or how I have to articulate myself and everything, because I might get demonetized or some crazy stuff like that. But that's the rules of YouTube, and you must abide. And you're out of the loop if you don't even try to even just communicate with the community of YouTube. It's just you're kind of hurting yourself a little bit. So obviously, I'm a newcomer to it, like I said, I'm normally on YouTube. I'm normally on Rumble, but I'm going to start doing this on YouTube. I felt it's kind of almost counterproductive to even try to figure out how to bring my episodes from Rumble over to YouTube, because maybe some things over on YouTube that I wouldn't even think about getting flagged on would be something that's flagged high rate over on YouTube. So it's better for me to keep everything that I have on Rumble over at Rumble, and then make content and new content or separate content, or it's just separate episodes pretty much for what I'm doing here on YouTube. Now, guys, I have no idea what's going on with my computer. I hope I don't got to go back in and try to figure out what my kernel task is doing. So if anybody understand how to manage kernel task, I think I found a couple ways to do it, but I just don't. I'm trying to do an episode so I wouldn't have to go and try to deal with that situation. But hopefully it kicks in. Normally it kicks in like a good maybe few minutes in. But what I want to do is I want to talk about, after watching so many streamers and social influencers or podcasters, and see where their mindset is, they always start their conversation and even the communication, conservative media, liberals, they're very confident. They hate Trump. They think he's a Hitler, and they think he's a sexist and a rapist and all kind of crazy stuff. Like, even that word, I can't technically use it over on Rumble a lot. They flag you on that stuff, or you get demonetized if you use it too many times. So they want you to say SA, it's like, and you see people saying that, and it's like you don't even know by by substituting clear English and like regular dialogue, like we allowed YouTube and society to like I don't even know how to say it because it's so weird how essay and off yourself or delete yourself or it's substitution of the word that you would common sensely use, you know what I mean? And unalive, and it's like it's just weird. Just the way that we conduct ourselves with each other is just completely idiotic and weird. And I wonder, do we even analyze what we're doing to not get demonetized? You got these multi-millionaires that's obviously made a lot of money from social media, and they're able to kind of stop their 9 to 5 or their corporate gigs or whatever they're doing, or at least downscale themselves from it. And they have turned themselves over into the gods of YouTube and podcasters and everything like that. Of course I want to be monetized. Of course I want to be able to make enough resources from doing podcasting so I could bring in other members so they can help me do streams and different things like that. It's kind of hard to kind of knock this stuff out when you don't have an extra hand on, or even when you're doing research and development of your episodes, you got to do them all. You can't just say, hey, go grab this clip, go grab this clip, go grab this clip, go grab this clip. And you can't say that. You're going to have to go and do that. You're doing the production of what a network would do, what a Fox News would do, and you're kind of messing around doing it yourself. Like all my graphics and everything like that, that's my work. That's my designs and everything like that. Even like the artwork and everything, those are all my artwork. And then I got to kind of figure out how to do everything at one time, all at once, pretty much, But at the same time, you're kind of trying to figure out, like, how do we communicate to each other? How do we talk to each other and have a real conversation about the society that we're in and that we're birthing? Because I think it's all our fault. I think how dysfunctional this society is and how messed up it is, it's all our fault. It's the wealthy alpha males just as much as it's the beta passive guys. You know what I mean? And it's the winners and the losers. We all kind of have a blame to this situation that's going on in our society. Like I always say that every man has an Alexander syndrome, meaning that we all have the ability to conquer, succeed, and have a level of accomplishment. So when we're kind of sitting here and we're kind of trying to separate each other, I'm a winner, you're a loser. I can get a better looking girl than you could get. I can get the hot girls. You gotta deal with my scraps, And it's if we're gonna kind of spend all our time doing that, which that's what we did for the last, that we could definitely count where the conversation has been active for the last 4 years. That's how we dealt with each other. We dealt with each other by becoming the worst of our makeup. You know what I mean? It's where we became the worst of us, where we actually took on literally what's unhealthy to society. Okay, let's say, last 40 years. Okay, what is that? Last 40, 50 years, what did it do to our society? We don't know what morals are. We don't know what values are. Because we can't say that we uphold that. We don't. We don't give a shit about it, okay? Excuse my language. I try not to use profanity too early in the episode, but we don't really care about those things. And I'm talking to all of us. You can never be a human being that stands in front of me and say that you care about morals and you care about values. You don't. Even when you think you are, maybe you uphold those values and morals really tightly inside your household, but everything about you publicly, you have given in to the most lack of knowledge or the unlogical things you have given into it. You have built your apparatus, or you make money, or you advance yourself, you level up yourself to things that have total how can I say, total shedding of values and morals. So I only really bring that up is because, you know, you got these two people on screen that I have, you know, Donald J. Trump versus Kamala Harris, you know, President Donald J. Trump versus Vice President Kamala Harris, and you got, and Kamala says, "Hey, I'm the value person. I'm the morals person. If you care about your values, if you care about your morals, you vote for me. You vote for Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. That's what you vote for. If you have any respect for morals and values, you vote for me, Kamala Harris." That's her narrative. That's what she says out there, okay? That's what she's communicating. You get what I'm saying? If you missed that, I'll play the only commercial ad or political ad that you ever need to know about Kamala and what she's doing and what her perception is and what her narrative is. I'll play that for you, okay? Check this out. Okay. Let's do that again.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? Choose something different. We choose freedom. Freedom too. The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions of the law. We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work.
I'ma keep on running because the winner don't quit on themselves.
Okay. So she's the moral person. She's fighting for freedom. She's fighting for survival. She's fighting for people to have freedom and autonomy over their bodies, and black people to be free and not be enslaved, and the citizens to not be. It's almost like Biden and Kamala didn't even have 4 years. Like, this is the first time they're running for election. Like, the last 4 years has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them. They have is out. Don't even just totally erase it. We're back in 2020, and we're starting the race all over again. Starting it from the top, and whatever happened to the last 4 years, it doesn't exist. And Republicans are so weak that they actually let them win that narrative, and that's how they're conducting themselves. That's how they're talking. They're communicating. They're talking about it like, "Oh, we're fighting for." You guys are so moronic that you think this is a once in a lifetime, in a very rare, in a generation type of situation that happened with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. She's technically the first. Well, nah, I guess not, because I think when Frederick Roosevelt, FDR, when he got a little ill, I think the vice president had to kind of, you know, take over for him a lot. I think it's a lot of times that Biden was really out of it, and he couldn't like really perform his duties and stuff, and she had to really be a vice president. You know what I mean? I mean, she had to really be a vice president, really. And she made decisions. She did phone calls with presidents and everything like that because of whatever was going on, and she had to take over. But technically, it was made him say, "Hey, you're gonna become president anyway. You know, pass a torch to you anyway. So you need to really dig your hands in this stuff anyway. So if I'm out of it and I can't physically do it and stuff, you just come in and you take over meetings and you do whatever needs to be done, or at least get briefed on certain things that you need to know just in case you guys have to like, do a 25th Amendment, and you already will be up to speed and already will be adjusted to the colonels and the Pentagon, and you would be adjusted to the intelligence agency and all the other stuff. So she pretty much was literally, and if you look at her vice presidency, if you look at the presidency of Joe Biden, you'll see that Kamala did a lot. When they went to go indict Trump, the AG from New York, the AG from Georgia, they came to have meetings with her. Why? Two reasons. One, she's pretty much the president. Two, she was an attorney general, so she could give them better strategy on how to set up the interrogation. Yeah, a lot of us and a lot of people try to make Kamala look dumb, but she's very vicious and like a real pit bull. You get what I'm saying? She's very unethical and all that, but that's you can't be a woman and be in that place that she had and have morals and values. You gotta be very cutthroat. And she is. That's how Oprah got to where she's at. Most women, that's how they get to where they at. Beyonce, she had to get to where she's at. She had to step on toes. She had to cut off friends and like loyalty. She had to cut all that stuff up. Morals and values don't allow for you guys. Like, that's why it's so weird when you see all these whack ass Christians and these conservative guys and women and people act like they family value orientated. Y'all don't care about that stuff. Come on. Y'all threw that stuff to the wayside a long time ago. Somewhere in 2008 to 2012, y'all threw all that away, and that's our culture. We've been who we are has been what's been going on. I say in the President Obama's thing. President Obama came in and man, whatever we thought that we were for, however we cared, whatever morals we thought we were, he carried himself as the most astute gentleman, well presented, well groomed, well looking man, well spoken gentleman. But the things he actually did to the society was, boy, it was nasty, messy. It's the lines, the blurred lines. The lines got so blurred with President Obama, and that's the society we have right now. People don't even understand themselves as American citizens no more. That's why I'm communicating this. I'm trying to tell you guys, you're not who you think you are, and you know that. You know it already. So it's funny to see, like, you get like this argument about what are we voting for here, and then you watch like Republicans. If you're a Trump supporter and you watch the Republicans just completely fall on their sword to just delete this guy from ever being a president. They couldn't imagine he would have the support he had for the last 10 years. They just can't fathom it. They don't understand. Like, for me, man, I grew up and I loved Howard Stern. I thought Howard Stern was so awesome. I thought he was great. I thought he was a great representation of freedom of speech. Yeah, he did some crazy stuff to little people and women and all kind of stuff. And he did some wild stuff in order to make people laugh, to the handicap and all the crazy stuff he would do. No matter how offensive it was, it told you, this is America. You have the freedom to do this. And when he would fight against the FCC and the government to say what he can say and what he can't say and who he could be and who he can't be, what would be funny and what the society would think that's not funny, he would fight censorship of an individual. And boy, Trump come down that escalator. And he communicates everything that happened 2015, whatever he said, every single thing, when he came down the escalator and what he said on that speech, every single thing happened. It happened. So to see that, and then I guess Howard Stern thought he would be like a mayor of New York, but it was a joke to the citizens of New York. Even when he tried to attempt to do it for fake, he actually did it for real. And he found out you're a joke. Stay on the radio, do what you're supposed to be doing, make us laugh. Dance the jig, motherfucker. That's how that was. Excuse my language. You get what I'm saying? That's how New Yorkers see Howard Stern. So you're a monument to New York, but we don't take you serious like that. So when Trump went down, and then the people start to actually support him, and he seen that powerful support. So by the time June 2015 to August 2015, Howard Stern got jealous. Like, they take this guy serious. I would never be able to get that kind of support from the American people for me to run for president. They'll think I'm a joke, and you gonna take Donald Trump serious? And there's no relevance. Like, Howard Stern is extremely successful, and he's dog shit compared to Trump. That's the truth. That's logic and truthful. So people spend the last 10 years trying to devalidate Trump's success, and they always say, well, he went to bankruptcy, and his father gave him $100 million or $400 million or $1 million, but everybody knows Trump lost all that. Let's say that his father gave that to him. He lost all that with some of his real estate deals and different stuff that he did, went down to basic level. And then he had to remake himself. He had to make that company failed. The Trump business failed. And he had to figure out how to make it successful again. And he made it successful again. Legally. IRS always hated Trump. Always hated Trump. New York AGs always hated Trump. Regulators always hated Trump. The liberals in New York always hated Trump. The people in DOJ, the FBI, the IRS always hated Trump, and they audit his books just to, you gonna slip one day, buddy. So we're gonna audit your books every single year, and you gonna slip. And he never slipped. He used the tax code. You may not like how he used the tax code, but it was legal tax code incentives that he could use in order to claim on his tax returns. So you got 1979. Okay, they say, hey, his Trump, he's a racist because he didn't want to rent to Black Americans in his Trump apartments and stuff like that. The truth of the matter, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. The truth of the matter was to wing out people that are not liquid or people that are not financial savvy. Trump came up with a structure in who they rent to, that whoever the people that come to their apartments and they rent their apartments, they need to be able to make 3 times the amount of their rent. So if the rent is like, let's say $1,200 a month, you need to make $3,600 a month in order to rent the apartment, because it will make it where you can substantially easily pay that, because it's only a third of what you make. So you won't have a problem with paying for your rent, the roof of your head, your mortgage, your rent. So he put that within the contract, and made whoever we get to come into these apartments, make sure that they got dough. Obviously, that's going to wing out if you're a low income person. If you're a person that makes maybe $2,200 a month, that's going to wing you out. If you make $1,800 to $2,000 a month, that's going to wing you out. So that's was the separation where Obviously, if you're a low income person or you don't really got your money together, or a good stable economic double to triple times the amount of your rent, you're gonna have a problem with paying. So that will kind of rule you out to not even be a candidate to be in the apartment complex. So it happened to be that some black people, they did good. Black people, they can handle it. Some black people couldn't. You get what I'm saying? So that's why if you go back to their case, if you go back into the 79, you look at all the actual candidates or even the renters that was in there, you see a lot of black people that was in the apartment complex, and they dealt with it smoothly and didn't have any issues with it. But then you have some that felt like he was discriminating against them because they didn't have that kind of liquidity 3 times the amount they rent. Okay? That, obviously, if you're a business person, that's logical, that's smart. You will want to do that. You will want to open up your restaurant doors to people that can, if you got a $70 steak, you wouldn't want people that, like, most of the time when they go eat, they can only handle maybe $25 for steak, because that means when you get a steak and you get the vegetables and you get the wine or whatever drink you get, you're going to easily be coming out with $100 to $200, if it's multiple people, $200 check there. And it's going to be hard for you to kind of get through that unless you saved up to go to that restaurant, or you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to be able to pay that tab. So it's just it's common sense structure. But yes, race came into the situation because of low income people, and that black people were not making as much as white people or other races and stuff. So it would seem like you're turning down black people to rent in your apartment. That's the logical situation. Do your paperwork. Stop putting yourself into the equation. Go look at the situation, and you'll see that that was what it was. Okay, yeah. The contentious situation that was going on, he decided he had to leave to open up a little bit more, to not have that actual 3 times the rent amount. It just, if you got a job, if you had a job for certain long and all that stuff, go through the normal parameters of approving a person for the rent, the housing regulations and stuff, or renting regulations. That's what happened in that situation. Okay, the situation with the what they call that, Central Park Fives. Okay, people, there was a black detective on that. To this day, and I'm gonna do separate episodes on this, he thinks those boys was involved in that rape. Why? Because the boys were caught and they were arrested because it was a lot of vandalism, and it was a lot of crazy delinquent stuff going on in the neighborhood, going on in the parks. People taking women's purses, or people and robbing them and everything like that, and vandalizing and spray painting stuff. And they were doing a lot of stuff that was going on in that Central Park, that they sent the cops in there to arrest the young people because they were wilding out, and they were getting phone calls, 911 calls, that there's a lot of young people beating up on people or stealing their purses or vandalizing equipment and stuff like that. So the police went into the Central Park to actually arrest a lot of the young kids that was running around being wild in the park. They arrested the boys. They were a group of boys. They arrested them. They took them back to the precinct. Okay. Now that they're in the precinct, they're actually questioning the boys about what they were doing and everything. One of the boys thought he was getting arrested, and that he got arrested because of the rape and the beating of the woman. So he mentioned it to the actual detective. Okay? The detective, they wasn't even arresting him for that. So once they found that out, they went back into the woods, searched the woods. They found the woman in the ditch, beaten up, messed up real bad. They got her to the hospital. They came back to the precinct, and they started to question the boys with their parents. Their parents was always there. They questioned them with their parents. So that's how that case started. I'm going to leave it there until I get do the episode where I can play the clips and everything, because I don't want to tell you guys something that you think that I'm making up. No, this is exactly what happened. You could go do your research on it. Okay? That's the situation. And then I go get the actual article that Trump put into the New York Times and let you see exactly, it ain't about those boys, it's about all the delinquent criminal stuff that was going on in New York and how he felt about all of it. So, and you'll see it in the article and everything like that. But look, go to Rumble. I do a really detailed, I go over some of this stuff in some of the episodes that I did. You got to go to Rumble, Individual Perspective Podcast on Rumble. Everything is over there. Links is at the bottom. Okay? The reason why I'm mentioning this and I'm talking about Trump, I know you guys say, oh, there's another Trump supporter. No, it's a lot that we culturally think about Trump, and we don't snap out of being slaved. We like they messing with our brain. They messing with how we believe, what's our belief system. Like, we have other men and women controlling how we conduct ourselves with each other and what we think inside our head and how we vote and what's our rules and what we think about business, what we think about taxes, what we think about relationships, men and women, and all that stuff is all structured by somebody else's thought process. It's not an individual perspective. It's not your thought process. It's somebody else's. So it just tells you, just like, yeah, okay, yes, him having 3 wives, okay, it means that if you don't meet up to his standard and how he want to be represented in public and who his arm candy is, maybe, yes, you might come up short. And he changed up. He was changing up when he was in the war of it. He made sure that everything worked to his best advantage when he walks into a room. Like every guy, and we don't get raised to understand that women are there because of their intuition. They're in our lives because of their intuition. They're in our lives because of their, like, instincts to people that should be around us and people that shouldn't be around us. Something that we may not catch behavior-wise from a business partner or something like that. That's what women are for us for. This is just an example. I'm just trying to rush through this. So when we going into business, when we interacting with some certain people, and we don't have a good counsel from our women and everything, it hurts the business, and it hurts what's going to be going in the long term, in the longer. If majority of the time it is what it was when you get that counsel and that consolidation or consulting from your woman or something like that. You know what I mean? We don't need women to tell us what to do, but we kind of run it by them to see how they feel about certain things. See what they say, and if they say something stupid, we say, oh yeah, that's that thought process won't work in the real world because it has no substance to it. And we communicate ourselves to there, but most of the time, if the woman knows, like, to give you valuable opinion, she knows to not open her mouth and say anything about something unless it's got very good substantial structure to it that it can be applied. You get what I'm saying? So I say this only to say, yeah, because I hear a lot of Christians, I hear a lot of evangelicals that ain't worth shit anyway, because I'm telling you guys, all you evangelical, all you Christians, I don't know, how do you vote how you vote? And you say, well, Kamala, she's such a nice girl and everything like that. She's such a demure woman and everything. And President Obama's so great. And if he supports her, then who am I to go against that? These are great. These are good people. Yeah, but they're good people that fight and sign legislation and campaign and construct and advocate and magnify the most retarded, illogical things in our society, okay? And then on top of that, they are supportive of things that just don't have logic to it. And we all have decided, even if things don't have logic to it, if people decide to live their life in a certain way that's illogical, we want inclusivity for anybody. We're not Germany in the 40s. We're not like a crazy radical tribes like in the Congo or in Uganda or some crazy stuff like that. We're not so savage like in Haiti and all the other stuff. We have decided, in order to not take a hard stance on anything, we have decided to throw our values, throw our morals, throw our logic away. And we have all decided this. So I'm not saying this is for liberals or conservatives. I think all and above have decided to do this. Otherwise, you'll be passing judgment on people all the time. All the time. You wouldn't have gay people around you. You wouldn't have transgenders. You wouldn't have like a lot of people that are integrated into our society, and that these are human beings, and you gotta have some kind of exclusivity to them, because it'll be hatred. You will be building hatred or injustice to these people. So we have all decided to adopt illogical thinking to the way that we conduct ourselves with each other. You know what I mean? You do any conversations with a gay person and you don't make sure that it sticks in logic, then you're almost kind of declining your thought process. If it's the opposite, if it's the same, then it's cool. If you got clear understanding of where they're coming from, and then you're like-minded. But if, let's say, most people are not like that. Most people got different ways that they look at things. And if I was to be inaccurate, I would say about 90% of all human beings don't follow suit with or have a relative connection with, like, I want to say this right, because you're on YouTube. You got to communicate yourself really effective when you're on YouTube, and you'll find that when you take on the LGBTQIA plus community lifestyle and you advocate for it and you give it momentum, or at least an inclusivity to it, you have to somewhat take away your Christianity. You can't. They don't belong in the same paradox. They don't belong in the same world. You know, you can't be a Muslim and be supportive of that. It's not common sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. You can't be a Christian and believe in that. You can't be like a certain. It doesn't. You have to make the decision to almost restructure your morality and restructure your principles and your values. And let's start with that. And I know I'm saying a lot, but I want to be very common sense about how we deal with this stuff, how we talk about this episode that I'm giving you guys today. So let's start off by talking about because I think we all kind of are lying to ourselves when we act like we know what's going on, you know? So let's talk about morals. Okay, what is morals? Okay, let's give a little play by a Texas University. It's called I think it's called the McComb something. I can't remember what the name of it was. It's like Texas McCombs. It's the University of Texas at Austin, and that's pretty, like, you know, Texas is not all conservative and everything. You go to Austin, you go to Houston, you'll see a lot of liberalism, and this school is based around that, you know. So let's check this out, okay?
Morals. Morals are the prevailing standards of behavior that enable people to live cooperatively in groups. Moral refers to what society sanctions as right and acceptable. Most people tend to act morally and follow societal guidelines. Morality often requires that people sacrifice their own short-term interests for the benefit of society. People or entities that are indifferent to right and wrong are considered amoral. time and culture, such as fairness, generally speaking, morality is not fixed. Morality describes the particular values of a specific group at a specific point in time. Historically, morality has been closely connected to religious traditions, but today its significance is equally important to the secular world. Philosophers make a distinction between morals and ethics, but many people use the terms morals and ethics interchangeably when talking about personal beliefs, actions, or principles. For example, it's common to say, "My morals prevent me from cheating." It's also common to use ethics in this sentence instead. So, morals are the principles that guide individual conduct within society.
Okay. Thanks for Texas McComb. I'll leave their links at the bottom. But the reason why I know that sounds crazy. I'm doing this like talking to a kid. I'm not trying to talk to you guys like a kid. I just want us to have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. Once you decide the structure of morality and the structure of morals is fixed, meaning that it's no standard for morality. That's what you're saying. You get what I'm saying? So even that, look, the reason why I played that is because that's how we all live. That's how we all live. It's illogical what they put in that video. When they decided, they had a good concept to what morals is and everything like that. But once they said that it's not fixed, once they say that you have the morality in Christianity and religion, you're destroying the whole purpose and the point of morality. Okay? That's what you're doing when you do that. When you contradict yourself like that, you're really destroying it. So in my conversation that I'm having with you guys is to say that this is a decline in society. In that somehow America, and this is what's impressive about us as a society, is that we could play these mind games with ourselves and our logical manipulation of ourselves. We do this to ourselves. This is not a white thing. This is not a black thing. This is not a rich thing. This is not a poor thing. This is a self-inflicted thing, a self-imposed thing. So once you see that you're willing to destroy the structure and the apparatus and the logic of morality, and it's not fixed, it's not it doesn't come from a foundation like religion. Like religion been in our existence for probably all of that is null and void because we're in a society that has extremely evolved into secularism, or secular ideology. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Our definition and our logic and our advocacy of morality has been destroyed because your morality is your bully's morality. If Democrats hold the power of morality over the citizens because they got all the senatorships, they got all the judicial systems, or at least the judicial system sees it somewhat like how liberals see it, because that's what's going on with Republicans. Most Republicans see it pretty much how liberals see life. They see everything pretty much. It's not as all the way there, but it's somewhat like how liberals see morality. And so that's why they're in support of a lot of things, how we conduct ourselves. And it's because you don't have a fixed or have a logic society. You're kind of following that guide, So I just wanted to play it and have a conversation to you guys about how morality is pretty destroyed, and all the only morality that we're going by is who's the bully in our lives. Is your wife bullying you, it's your woman bullying you, and how she thinks about life and how she thinks about morals is what you both are going by because you don't want the drama. So she bullies you by not giving you, like, by, if you don't, vice versa, is your man dominant over you, over the household, and the morals and the things and the values that you have in your house and how you conduct yourself in your relationship is based on how your man see it because he's the dominant over you. You know, so that's the conversation we're seeing, and it's not fixed. It's not two people coming in with the same kind of core values and morals. And that's another thing that we're going to bring up, values. And they kind of coming in and they don't have so much. Think of it that way. You'll see it explain how bad in society we are and why our society is the way it is and why we're going in the direction that we're going as a society. Okay. So I brought up values. So let's talk about values.
Values. Values are individual beliefs that motivate people to act one way or another. They serve as a guide for human behavior. Generally, people are predisposed to adopt the values that they are raised with. People also tend to believe that those values are right because they are the values of their particular culture. Ethical decision-making often involves weighing values against each other and choosing which values to elevate. Conflicts can result when people have different values, leading to a clash of preferences and priorities. Some values have intrinsic worth, such as love, truth, and freedom. Other values, such as ambition, courage, and responsibility, describe traits or behaviors that are instrumental as means to an end. Still, other values are considered sacred and are moral imperatives for those who believe in them. Sacred values will seldom be compromised because they are perceived as duties rather than as factors to be weighed in decision-making. For example, for some people, their nation's flag may represent a sacred value. But for others, the flag may just be a piece of cloth. So, whether values are sacred, have intrinsic worth, or are a means to an end, values vary among individuals and across cultures and time. However, values are universally recognized as a driving force in our ethical decision-making.
Okay. Texas McComb, University of Texas of Austin. Okay. Thank you again. I'll put the links in the bottom after I get through with this episode. But values, okay? Even that, after she's kind of communicating it to you, and you can see how broken it is, you know, how broken your values are, because no matter if you have like a duty or let's say a hardcore values, when you leave the house and when you work in the secular world, your values they gotta change, or you gotta put them on hold, or you gotta dilute them because, you know, you're not walking into you may be a Muslim, but you may have a job that's not based in Muslim values. So you're gonna have to dilute your values in order to kind of interact with the values of that establishment, you know, or how the establishment sees values. So forth for Christians. Christians have Christian values. You may be conducting yourself in a Christianity situation in your home life and everything like that. But when you leave and go into the workforce, you have to work with things that are not upheld so strongly in your religion and your Christianity and everything like that. So you're going to have to interact with people that don't, atheists and extremely secular people that may like indulge in things that are ungodly, you may say, or let's say, or just against your core Christian values and everything, but that's the way that they choose to live their life or to conduct themselves in certain things, and you just gotta mind your own business and work your job and go home and everything like that, or, you know, bypass whatever you kind of know that is lack of values that you share. So your values may not be the next person's value or the person across from you value. That was the point of it. So in that structure, you have to toss away values in a way. You don't give it all up because you gotta operate on something, but you understand that you have compromised it so much where you can't communicate or advocate values because you have degraded it in order to have achievement, have grandeur for whatever you're doing in your life or whatever prosperity that you want to get to your life. And sometimes a dilution of your values or your morals or all that stuff and your ethical situation may call for that. And sometimes ethic breaking may be something that you may feel that you didn't break your ethics. That's logical. This business is good business, it's good situation, but really in the scale of ethics and values and stuff like that, you'll find that, logically, I compromise my values. So it's interesting. You may be a devout Catholic or Christian or whatever you want to call yourself, and your business partners, or let's say a client that you have, may be hosting a certain venue or a gala or something that they want you to come to because you need to present a certain thing or need to uphold, or the relationship that you have business-wise you need to show up and show face to that gala or whatever the event may be, but they're drinking, they're interacting with each other and stuff like that in a more lavish, enjoyable lifestyle, and your values and morals may not allow for you to be around people that drink alcohol, you know what I mean, or something like that, but you're gonna compromise it because everybody's they're carrying themselves with a certain kind of pristine and prestige and stuff, so it's not such a mess and everything like that. But overall, the overall consumption of alcohol or smoking, you're seeing it within the confine of that environment, and that's a compromise. I know this stuff, I know I'm giving very minuscule examples because in the social dynamics of things, you guys understand what I mean, and certain things are very not so radical, but they do cater to a larger factor because of that compromise. So I hope you guys understand what I mean by that, but that's just the breaking of our morals and the breaking of our values and the inconsistency of our morals and the inconsistency of our values have destroyed our society, has given us a society where anything goes. It's an anything goes society. That's what I call it, So, and we do that because we're trying to be inclusive. We're trying to be in a togetherness and in a humble and a cordial environment and a decorum that we're trying to establish amongst each other. But passivity will reconstruct America, and it has, and it is. So passivity will reconstruct America. What do I mean by that? Passivity will reconstruct America, meaning that it will change this country, constitutional wise and everything, and we're going to go through it, how it's changing it. But I like to first off just keep it to the men and the women. It's just men and women. That was the makeup of society. That was the makeup of genetics of the human species. And it was supposed to majority. That's the makeup. So that's the interaction, and throughout time and evolution, this is the interaction that we have now.
There's a reason that women live longer, Mark. Let me tell you. It is because we are stronger and we are happier at the end of the day than most men. And that is factual, and you know it.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner.
I'm not screaming. There is a new study out today that says women become unhappy as they get older. Well, the flip side,
men get happier as life goes on. Now, the researchers, a couple of economists, by the way, they say it happens when we each turn 48. And of the major factors coming down, it's all about money. Now, what's that all about? We're going to debate it. Mark Rudolph is a no-nonsense man, and Tracy Burns, our Fox Business reporter, joins me to tell us what's really going on. Tracy, is this true?
Come on.
I mean, come on.
All right, first of all.
Don't get me started.
I know you've missed me, Mark. First of all, this study was conducted by mostly men. And when men conduct anything, they talk about their finances because men judge themselves by the size of their wallet. Toys, dare I say. So, you put all your toys together in a parking lot and it makes you happy. If they were to ask other questions in this study about spirituality, about the other aspects of our lives, that women would have taken over.
Women don't care about no spirituality. Come on, women. Stop. You care about it because you're not, like, dealing with money so much. Then you start to go to your spirituality and all this hippie stuff and this emotional stuff. You go there, but if you're in the dog crap of it and you going through some hardship and everything, you know you need that bag. It's about money. Ain't nothing more important than money. If you're going through financial trouble, it's nothing more important than money. And men, we don't find this out until later in our life unless we have really strong fathers and men around us that tells us about this. And then it's part of our habit because we always been told about this. We always been, a man went through it, your grandfather, your father went through it, and they kind of understood the worst case scenario of life is you need to have this, you need to have this, you need to be like this, you need to move like this. And that gets passed on because it's from a behavior that's looking at another young man, like a father looking at his son and say, hey man, this crazy. I can't have you walking around not knowing this is in the mindset of all women. And this is how the world will evaluate you. So all the fluffy, like, decorum and niceties, that's come in comfort. You get what I'm saying? Seeing it in a respectful way and not a dogmatic way is all because you're in comfort. But if you're not in that comfort, you'll be a bitch and you'll be kind of judging and degrading and been really wild to your man. And this is, I must not talk because I do want to let it play, because if you just look at the behavior, you'll see it.
Our Fox Business reporter joins me to tell us what's really going on. Tracy, is this true?
Come on.
I mean, come on.
All right, first of all.
Don't get me started.
I know you've missed me, Mark. First of all, this study was conducted by mostly men. And when men conduct anything, they talk about their finances because men judge themselves by the size of their wallet. Toys, dare I say. So, you put all your toys together in a parking lot and it makes you happy. If they were to ask other questions.
Men do not care about, obviously women, you know this if you're in a relationship, if you've been around a man and stuff like that. Most of the time, you kind of know this already. Man, we don't care about our toys. We don't care about the cars. We don't care about the luxuries. We don't care about the house. We don't care about the money. We really don't. We do it in order to have a certain kind of interaction and human interaction, human outcome, and the valuation of us, how the respect and the loyalty and the integrity and the honor. That's what we want. That's what we dream of. That's what we fight for. And we don't know that it's like it costs money to have that until later in life. Now, we have certain guys that always kind of say, hey, I get it. I got it out the mud and my wife was with me. If that's true, then you're one of the very few. Women ain't trying to be with you while you're getting it out the mud. They got no interest in that. They have no interest in the struggle with you. Fresh and Fit Myron Gaines, he says, like, women wait at the finish line, women wait at the finish line. That's just the way it is. This is I'm talking to you guys in a shedding of morality and values. You have to understand it's just the way it is. Morals and values are gone. They're gone. It's standard of living now. It's standard of existence now. It's happiness and perception of happiness. But the truth of the matter is, no one can make you happy but yourself. You have to have peace in your own head, in your own heart, in your own mind. That peace within yourself and what you're going into. I always say, when women get into a relationship, why are you in a relationship? Why are you in a relationship? When men get in a relationship, why are you in a relationship? Men should only be in a relationship if you want to be in a relationship with a woman that builds Wakanda, okay? That's going to build your legacy, that's going to build your purpose of living. If you're joining with that person, because this is the person you want to share that journey with, that's why, and that actual person wants to share the journey, and her own existence is not so important than the journey that you guys are doing together. It's the bad part about our existence, and what actually logically work is that a woman magnify a man. A man magnifies himself, but a woman magnifies a man. If she magnifies herself, she don't really have time and love and passion and the journey of magnifying the guy. That's going to always be in a certain kind of conflict there. It's going to be a little messy, because the innate ability and innate function and the greatness and the actual magic of a woman is to elevate a man and to magnify a man, or help in magnification of that man. That's why a man takes you to a gala or a meeting or some dinner or something with clients and different people like that. You're supposed to go in that room and you're supposed to work that room on his behalf to magnify his name. You're like a billboard for him. You know, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's something that my husband, he's really great at that, and blah, 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 blah. You should meet him. You should talk to him. That's how every interaction that woman should have when she goes into a room of power. That's how it should be. But we got 40, 50 years of women elevating themselves. So it's like you got two people walking into a room and they got their own agendas, their own companies, their own like path that they're trying to succeed in life, and it's just conflict. And that's just our society now. I mean, I'll be honest with you. So it's because I'm gonna let this play and then let you guys kind of see what's going on in the conversation.
In this study about spirituality, about the other aspects of our lives that women would have taken over. I mean, first of all, a woman hits her sexual prime at 35. Things get much better for us.
Hey, I'm 35. This is good for me. All right.
Women are at the sexual prime at 35. Things get better for them later and later in life. Women. You guys are women. Any woman that's over the age of 35 and up, is that true? Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself that. I already know what the answer is. I don't need you to. You can go in my chat if you want and tell me how you feel about me and everything like that, about bringing up this point. But what she's talking about is crazy.
Things get much better for us.
Hey, I'm 35. This is good for me. All right, Mark. All right, go nuts, because I know you're going to go nuts.
Well, first of all, you're presuming that unhappiness in women begins in middle age. I'd say it starts when she's a little girl, when she's taught that happiness derives from shoes, jewelry, boob jobs, and pedestals. And what's interesting, come on, Alexis, and then you have boys who are taught that they're supposed to make girls happy. I was on the radio 2 weeks ago in Greensboro, North Carolina, and the host related a story. He overheard his son and daughter talking. So brother goes to sister and says, "How come you always have money and I don't?" And she says, "That's simple. I have a boyfriend and you have a girlfriend." The fact of the matter is, boys are taught that they're supposed to make women happy.
No, he's actually living in the dark ages.
There's that.
I'm not living in the dark ages. This is reality. And if either of you women has ever dated women, you would know what I'm talking about. But you pretend that you don't know what I'm talking about.
His point is, the daughter says she got she got a boyfriend, meaning that he's giving her money or making it where she don't even have to spend her money, and the guy, he has a girlfriend, so you're spending your money on women and the happiness of women and stuff like that. That's the reason. So that was the moral of that story. If you caught it or not, I don't know.
Mark,
So what's happening in middle age? What's happening in middle age here is that women who bring 70% of divorces are divorcing the men that they never wanted to marry to begin with, and so now that's what's making the men happy.
That's interesting.
Well, they get destroyed by the divorce, and they feel real horrible and feel real down, and they go into a dark situation when they get divorced, and they go into divorce, and women decide to divorce them and everything, and they don't know that it's a good thing until they find how to live in the situation with half their money, half of their assets, or if that's a person lucrative enough to have that, or had a good successful life in order to have something to take half of, you know what I mean? And they'll find out as they kind of just get used to the new paradigm or terrible situation that they haven't injected themselves into now. It comes to that they'll get to a place where they'll start to go through life and continue with life, and now they got these new rules and new standards that they have because of their ex-wife or their relationship and how bad it went, and they know not to do that again or something like that, and they put these new protocols in their interaction, and it actually favors them. They start to think about their enjoyment and not compromising themselves so much in the idealism of love and togetherness and going down with the ship and stuff like that. So in that situation, that's what they're talking about here.
Because we control the household spending, don't we? Because we're working more than ever. All right, let's get back to the survey, though, all right? Because basically what they're saying is that we are happier in our early adult life, and that women are more likely than men to fulfill their aspirations earlier related to material goods and family. That is true, wouldn't you say, Tracy? And a good thing.
And that's saying that women are kind of they're kind of, if they're smart, they're marrying a well-to-do guy or some financially stable guy that can give them a comfort of living and everything like that. And that they, as they're in that comfort and they're in that relaxation, they live a good life and everything. But, they may not like the guy or get bored of the guy, and maybe he works too much, or maybe they get total distance against them, or he gained weight or whatever through his life, and this may not be attracted to him before. So now you got to be a real egomaniac woman to kind of be in a relationship with a person for 20-something years, and then or 20-something years, or 10 to 20-something years, and then you decide, like, I want to end this to start over again because I might have a better option of dying with somebody a little bit more viewable or tolerable, you know what I mean? And they do that. So that's what that is. And I think that they said that men over 48 generally happier than women. And that's because it takes a long time for us to get to our success and get to a company or running a company to success. Sometimes we do trials and errors, and we take a chance, we make money, and then we gamble it on a venture or a growth process or entrepreneurship and we lose everything, and then we have to rebuild ourselves and everything like that, or go through trials and errors, and then we come to because now we know how things are, we know our errors and how to capitalize on our errors and stuff like that, and that makes us go into success. And most of the time that journey takes you into your 48, early 50s, and you pretty much got it. It's smooth sailing from there, so 48 is generally when the man start being happy, because I can see that. I can see that. I really can.
Aspirations earlier related to material goods and family. That is true, wouldn't you say, Tracy? And a good thing. It takes men longer to figure out what they want to do in life.
Well, I just think this whole notion of basing your happiness on material goods is part of the problem, hence part of the reason that this thing was run by men in the first place. If there were women on the panel,
Tracy.
If there were women on the panel, they would, I mean, ask any woman if she would choose her car over her children, and she'd take the kids any day, whereas I would question a lot of men out there, quite frankly.
Tracy, I can't
There's a
believe what I
reason
just
that
heard
women
you
live
say.
longer, Mark. Let me tell you. It is because we are stronger and we are happier at the end of the day than most men. And that is factual, and you know it.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner.
I'm not screaming.
When you have women going around,
Mark, you're divorced.
Tracy,
She left you. Let's put
Tracy.
that on the table if you want to play this game.
Tracy,
Yes.
when women go around comparing their engagement rings to show off who got the most carats,
Oh, I don't know where you
tell me
find
that
these
women don't compete.
Mark,
Don't
I don't know
tell
where
me
you
that
find
women
these
don't
women. The
compete
women
on
I know do
material
not
possessions.
care about that kind of stuff. Mark,
All right,
you gotta get out more.
Women compete on houses, divorce settlements, carrots, country clubs. Women compete on money all the time. Give me a break.
Well,
Wait a
you got
second.
the wrong
Wait a
women in
second,
your
Mark,
life, buddy.
Mark. Well, Mark, wait a second. The stature of a lot of men is measured in the car they drive.
Yeah, because you women like that. You base your stability on how excess liquid that guy got. If a man can, most of the time. Now, of course, you got some fakers and you got some people that's profiling, but they can't keep up with it. If they can keep up with the fake, and then obviously they have it. They just budgeting the way that they're budgeting, where they don't put the expense of ownership on themselves so they can keep liquid. But if they are just for a weekend or something like that, or like maybe on a vacation, they're faking and profiling and everything, then it's for you to have discernment about them, or at least understand that, hey, that this time that I'm with you, are you giving me the last of luxury and stuff like that? But most men, we don't care about cars, we don't care about houses, we don't care about the status of stuff. We do that because it makes women comfortable. They don't want to be in a barbaric world. They don't want to be in a dangerous scenario. They want to be in a happy, comfortable, luxury, and very peaceful environment. And that peaceful environment costs money. And it's just, and then so if a man sets up that aura for you, he wants you to be comfortable. He wants you to be engaged with him and intimate with him and stuff like that. So sometimes that intimacy costs money. It's the car, the house, the environment that you put the woman in. You have to do it in order for them to feel comfortable. So that's why men are interacting with that stuff. And women, this is like, how do you be 35 years old or so and not know that when you get in a guy's car and it's luxury, it's for you to have comfort, for you to feel that this is a lucrative and comfortable and stable environment for you. When a man has a big house or a nice condo or whatever environment that he's bring you in, a 4-star hotel or 5-star hotel or something like that, it's to make sure that you're in a relaxed environment, in a humble environment. You have powerful people around you interacting with you in the elevator or whatever you're going on in the neighborhood or whatever. Is to make sure that it's a certain kind of most likely environment that's around you. You know what I mean? So it's that's what men do all that stuff for. We can have a small, maybe a 85-inch TV and a futon in the apartment, and that's all we care about. That's good enough for us. You know what I mean? So that's just I'm taking you guys through the thing, because all the morals and the values in the change of our morals and values have destroyed the logic of men and women in their interaction with each other. Just the common sense interaction with each other, where now they're having conversation, they're talking past each other, and there's a certain, like, the man, he's very logical. He's been very, and they think he's, like, most women probably listen to what he's saying and say that it's kind of rude and cutthroat, but it's a man that's been through something, and he kind of know, like, hey, you gotta be, it's like, we gotta not have this mindset and I'm being passive in order to make you guys be able to have the point of view you want and make you win on the point of view, which the woman in the red shirt, she's supposed to be a moderator because she's the anchor. This is her show. And she's supposed to be kind of having the accurate communication. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's got the best argument here? Who's doing the best in their sporadic method of going back and forth and giving finite common sense or even logical accuracy and factual data, but she's kind of injected herself in it and she's making it more muddy. The water is getting muddy, the line is getting blurred, and that's what's going on. Okay.
The golf country club they belong to, and very much the place they live in.
The golf country club is you bring men into a place where they're confident of their success and who they are, and just to deal with their actual mindset of being successful or driving to success. You put them on the golf course, they feel that a lot, and you could get a lot of deals closed because your a man accomplishment and his risk factor and everything is very open on the golf course. It's very open. It's open for consideration to ventures and goals and expenditure and stuff like that. So you close a lot of deals on golf course. Men don't just go to country clubs and golf courses or nothing. They go there to magnify their power, magnify their success. Okay? And most men's success is success. You know, like we don't have successful women. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about luxury stuff, you know. Sometimes most of that stuff is used to interact with powerful people to close deals and close like situation. But if we're interacting with a woman with that stuff, it's for the comfort. It's for the women to feel comfortable in the environment that they are. Most men, we will probably like, you know, we'll have the success, we'll have the cars, we have the country club, we'll have the different social environments that we go in to close deals, to take restaurants to eat at and all the other stuff. But our personal stuff, we wouldn't need it to be so flamboyant. Of course, you don't want to take a multi-million client, $1 million client in an Escort or not an Escort, a Ford, like a small Ford car or some inexpensive car, and this person lives a life of luxury and they gotta drive a Mercedes even in their hot life because they gotta interact with people with that kind of success. And if they make the money, that person don't want to go to dinner with them or go to lunch with them, and then they gotta drive in this crazy car that's just so extremely from what they're used to and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of business people, they may purchase a Mercedes, they may purchase things of luxury in order to interact with their clients. Their office space may be extremely luxury because their clients is looking for a certain kind of stability and to let them know that their money and their investment is in the right place. You get what I'm saying? And so that's why there's a certain amount of financial costs. Even when you charge people your fee, you need to charge them a fee that's respectable to where you're going and the environment that you're creating for the client and for yourself, for potential clients, because no one wants to be around something that's dying. So sometimes that's the reason for the office space, the cars, the country clubs, and all that stuff like that. But personal stuff is for, you know, the potential family or women that you want to bring into your life and interact with, or set a safe environment for them, a calm environment for them. So, you know, this conversation gets muddy because they kind of throwing accusations all around and everything.
Have to admit that.
And whether or not their wives are staying at home and not working. That's exactly what I said at the beginning. That's because men are taught that men are taught that they have to make women happy. The fact of the matter is, you can't make anybody happy. You have to make yourself happy. Happiness is a byproduct of achievement. So for women to say that they're unhappy, it's their own fault. Anybody who says he's unhappy, it's his own fault.
Mark,
Everybody has to make himself or herself happy.
You're giving me such a bloody headache.
Yeah, I mean,
where are you?
Yeah, so you get the point of these guys. Let's go to the next thing. So, because now we're gonna get into our morals and values and the separation from pretty much our discussion of our values and morals and everything like that, and how it really divides us heavily. And one of the major ways in this election is like, and it's so crazy because the Republicans. Why do you think that they're spending so much money? They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a narrative of abortion. Why do you think they're doing that? They're getting some kind of data. They're getting some interaction from enough people to let them know that it's effective in the overall totality of the election, that abortion plays a factor in women's decision making. And I always say, women, you got to understand, I'll get to it. Let's play it.
51 years ago, the Supreme Court made a landmark decision that saw abortion as a constitutionally protected right across the United States for decades. A year and a half ago, a new generation of justices overturned it. Since then, every single state has moved to either protect abortion access or block it. Some of those fights are still playing out, including in ballot initiatives voters will see in November. The Biden-Harris campaign hopes the issue will drive people to the polls in November. And here's Nancy Cordes, CBS News chief White House correspondent, with a report.
How dare he? The Biden-Harris campaign kicked into high gear today, going after Donald Trump on the issue of abortion in op-eds and ads around the country.
In Texas, you are forced to carry that pregnancy.
The goal? To tie the recent rollback in reproductive rights directly to the GOP frontrunner.
We did the Roe v. Wade thing, which they've been trying to get it done.
Since Roe v. Wade was overturned 19 months ago, 21 states have established full or partial abortion bans. The issue has galvanized voters on the left, who have turned out to protect abortion rights in 7 states so far. Come this November, the issue will be on the ballot in up to 9 more states, including battlegrounds like Arizona and Nevada.
People have made it really clear that they want this right to be restored.
Jennifer Klein leads the abortion policy effort at the White House.
You've got folks on the other side who are really quite clear that if they could pass a national abortion ban, they would do so.
Do you want to see a national ban on abortion? At the March for Life in Washington Friday, most people we spoke to said yes.
Yeah, I actually do believe that.
Not just in your state, but across the country.
Everywhere. I want to see them outlaw abortion.
But so far, the GOP frontrunner hasn't committed to a national ban.
I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't.
Here's why he's cautious. Polls show 2/3 of all voters oppose it.
Nancy Cordes joins me now from the White House. Nancy, a two-part first question. What abortion-related measures is the Biden administration supporting with respect to specific policy? And then give me your sense of the politics as the White House sees it on the issue of abortion in this presidential year.
Well, John, they are actually inextricably linked, the first and second parts of that question, because the challenge for the White House is that there isn't that much that they themselves can do on a federal level. They can tinker around the edges. They can make sure that contraceptives, for example, are made more widely available to federal employees. They can make sure to weigh in on cases that are moving through the federal court system, such as the big case right now before the Supreme Court that has to do with abortion contraceptives. But beyond that, all of the action is taking place at the state level. And so they are encouraging Democratic lawmakers at the state level to push legislation. They're obviously trying to get ballot initiatives on the ballot in November in as many places as possible, because it's so proven to boost Democratic turnout, which is something that they very dearly want in November.
Okay, so in the big scheme of things, that's
wait, and so
the conversation is like the federal government used to be able to. Roe v. Wade made it where the law was that 9 judges decided what was good for all the states. You got 50 states in this country, and they decide to territories and all that stuff like that. But the states in the country, those Supreme Court justices decided what was good for every citizen, no matter what your religious belief was, no matter what was going on, but everybody had to abide by this abortion structure. And you know, they got the first trimester, second trimester, and the third trimester, and the different parameters of what's allowed in abortion process in those. What the judges did recently was said this is not a decision for 9 justices in the federal government in Washington, D.C. This is the decision of people in states, and they bicker and argue amongst each other, and they go and vote on a ballot in their city and their states and make the decision for what policies or standards that they want for abortion, 6 weeks to 15 weeks to 9 months, with and the ability to abort within those parameters. You decide that back at home in your state, and everybody's kind of putting a different abortion law or situation to each state, and they're all voting in their elections and stuff. So far, it seems like most people are going for, you know, abortion, you know, up to 15 weeks or 9 months or 21 weeks, or, you know, it's just different ones. It's different decisions, and people, it's for the people to vote and have accountability for what they're voting for back in the states. So that's the situation of abortion. That this is a conversation that is divisive from Republican and Democrats, Trump supporters and Kamala supporters, is a divisive, is bad narrative control and propaganda narrative. You know, the women that are for Kamala, and Kamala is saying they try to take your reproductive rights away from you because they took it away from us being able to do whatever we want through every state and to decide whatever the parameter is. No, they didn't. They decided for you guys to have more accountability of what decision you made on abortion in your state. That's the only difference that's going on here. Okay? Yeah, this may lead to some states being extremely heavy with a lot of religious people, and they may put a cap on the actual weeks that you can have abortion and everything. And we're finding out women are like having abortions after 6 weeks, and they got to go to another state to have the abortion, and it's different. Yes, it's consequences to everything. It's consequences to everything, and we're seeing that women are having some major decisions on this thing. I say, whatever they want, let them have it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they want, let them have it. But because I always tell women, like, hey, you do men a favor when you decide you want to get abortion, because that allows the men to not have to be tied to you. You know, men want that option more than they want to be tied to you. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's an anomaly that men impregnate women and they just leave them. You know, most men, if they impregnate a woman and they find out that they have a kid that's on his way, they actually step up. They go get that second job. They go get that third job. They figure out their entrepreneur situation and they level up as best and fast as they can, because they don't want their kid to come into the world, have to suffer like they did. So it's automatic. Most men fall into that mindset. So, but women are deciding that, you know, they want to mess around with pregnancy in their later age and stuff, going into 28, 29, 30, 35, stuff like that is a little bit more risky, more dangerous and stuff like that. And then you're kind of doing, like, if you're going into 15 weeks, you're going to, and they're not doing, like 10 years ago, most abortions was like you went to a clinic and they, you know, did the procedures that they had to do to make sure that you didn't have like a carcass or a dead being inside your body, a body in there. Now women are actually, you got babies that are actually alive in your stomach, and you want to do the abortion, so you're actually taking a pill, a poison pill that poisons the baby, kills the baby. Now you have a dead body inside your body, and it's supposed to pass through out of your normal situation, but it's not normal really, you know what I mean? And that it doesn't all come out, so you got a lot of dead waste in your body, and then that develops what they call sepsis, and that's a whole nother situation. And now we're dealing with that kind of stuff because women are taking poison pills that's, instead of going to a clinic to do a abortion that gives them, make sure that it's clear out of their system and all the other stuff. And it's just look, it's a lot. And I'm not saying that it's fair on a woman that is not fair, that is fair for a woman to go through that, because it's not. I'm just saying this is how messy it is. This is where the lines are in abortion and no abortion. There's such a blurred line. And if you meet people, these are good people. These are people that are very highly intelligent people and very good business savvy people, that people make good careers and good decisions in their life. And they both have blurred lines and savage and moral and lack of values to just even having sex with your man that's not your husband and stuff like that, or potential to be your husband, because you want to work out your options. And it's just like, it's a lot of stuff that comes when you break morals and you break values and you go into this anything goes society where let's just see how it goes. If you go into that kind of society, you get a lot of trials and errors. Trials and errors, sometimes it ain't going to be safe. It's not going to be safe. So I just want to show you guys that in the abortion conversation, you know. So, and the next thing I want to talk about is...
Exclusive Local 4 Detroit News poll of likely Michigan voters shows the presidential race right now is a dead heat. You saw that last night at 11.
Now, this is my hometown. This is where I live, Detroit.
Exclusive Local 4 Detroit News poll of likely Michigan voters shows the presidential race right now is a dead heat. You saw that last night at 11, and now we're revealing more of where those voters stand when it comes to Project 2025, immigration, and the U.S. Senate race. Will Jones has been looking at the survey results, and he's joining us live right now. Hey, Will.
Hey, Devon, Republicans plan to hammer Democrats on immigration all the way up until November, and Democrats plan to tie Project 2025 to Republicans. Both are trying to sway independent.
And this, I'm so shocked by we got a crazy society now. They're spending, and this is another thing that I got to say to the Republicans, because they're so ridiculous. They're spending Avatar type of money. You know, Avatar costs about $400 million. That's how much money they spending in order to advocate that Donald Trump is behind Project 2025. It is ridiculous, and it has no logic to it. Everybody that hate Trump and anti-Trumpers came together with some people that should have known that these are not good people, and they came together and they put a bill together, or a potential, it's not a bill, it's more like a policies that they would like for the Republican president to adopt. They came together, does it, Project 2025. Now, Trump never read it. He never had the thing. Even the people that wrote it, they say he ain't got nothing to do with it, but they tied him to it because it was a great narrative. The Project 2025, it's like Kellogg's cereal. It's like Dove soap. It's like Charmin tissue. And that's all that the average brain can comprehend. That's how dumb Americans are. So just Project 2025, they don't know why they believe it. Oh, it's a bad thing? Oh, okay, Project 2025, bad. You behind Project 2025. They love to say it because it rings in their ear. It's easy words for them to comprehend, for them to communicate. Project 2025. It's easier than understanding what propaganda is. Learning the word propaganda, knowing how to advocate the word propaganda, to actually psychological warfare, to say that Those are things that people should be understanding what that is, and should be understanding the manipulation of Project 2025 and the perception that is giving you that is not a true factual position. How do a person fight if somebody say, hey, you were behind Project 2025, and they say, man, I'm not, I got nothing to do with Project 2025. And you, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Prove it. Oh, you had people that's part of your administration that's behind it, that wrote policies inside of it, and they were part of your political situation. That's them coming up with fantasy or policies that they will want me to adopt, but it's my decision to adopt it, and I'm telling you guys I'm not adopting it. Oh, we don't believe you. How do you fight that? That's the double-edged sword that Trump is going through. So Project 2025, you hear a lot of black people talking about Project 2025, policies, this policy, they do this. Like, y'all don't care about none of that stuff. If you want to know what Trump is, if you want to know what to expect from Trump, from a policy perspective, look at his first presidency. Look at what decisions he made. Look at where his pen, signature. Because that's what matters. What did he sign? What did he sign? What did he communicate and then signed? That's how you find out who he is and what he's going to do. And if you look at a certain amount of things that's collectively certain structures to him, that's who he is. Not what you want him to be, not what your perception of him to be. It's just what it is. It's objective. But they mess with your head because they give you all these keywords. They say these little things that's a psychological warfare to you because it's actually things that they doing, and they say that he's doing because it's called gaslighting. They say that word too. Gaslighting. Oh, gaslighting. It sounds interesting to you. It's like that Kellogg cereal. It's like that Charmis tissue. It's like that Dove soap. It's branding. Branding is so addictive to the dumb-minded, the ignorant-minded, the low IQ. Likes branding. Likes colors. Oh, shapes. Oh, they don't think for themselves. It's just they go through the trend. That's what that is. So when I see a bunch of people talking about Project 2025, you don't know nothing about that. But at the same time, they spending $400 million to paint him with that. Why? Because everybody is saying, yeah, Project 2025, yeah, that's a great name, yeah, that's a great meaning, yeah, we get him for that. Yeah, I want to keep saying that. I want to keep saying that words. I want to keep saying that phrase. I want to keep, yeah, and they get into this repetitious mantra on it. That's what that is.
Voters, but with Project 2025, our survey revealed that a lot of voters haven't even heard of it.
Even him, he's on Project 2025. It's Project 2025, not 2025. Okay, see that? That's an example. This man professional. He's a person. He looks well presented. He's articulating himself well. And he's a news anchor, or not a news anchor, but he's a street reporter, a field reporter. And you were like, oh man, this guy looks standard. But even for him, it's propaganda that's been injected into our society, into our culture, that is not known, that is not well versed. So you know, look, they're losing the narrative because I always say, look, only way that Republicans going to win this election is a couple reasons, and I'll go down the road with that. But one of those major reasons is you got to shame the voters. You do. You have to talk about how ignorant they are, how dumb they are, how lack of an IQ they have. You have to do it. You have to break it down to them. You have to shame them. You know, because you're letting the dumbest people rule over us. We're letting the dumbest people rule over us. I'm sorry. We're letting the dumbest people rule over us. We're letting the illogical, lack of common sense people rule over us. I'll let him finish up.
As we get closer to November, you're likely going to hear a lot more about Project 2025, a right-wing policy agenda crafted by the Heritage Foundation. In our exclusive Local 4 Detroit News poll, surveying 600 likely Michigan voters in November, 37.4% have an unfavorable opinion of Project 2025, 22% no opinion, while 36.9% never heard of it. Moving to immigration, we asked voters, do you support?
And that's what's going to help Trump. If that number holds true over the country, and this is Detroit, this is black people majority and everything, 600 likely voters, that's a good demographic to that's a good pool of people to kind of get a good substantial, how can I say, polling outcome of it. And if he's got about 38% of the people in Detroit that haven't heard of it or like don't believe in it and stuff like that, or don't believe that he's tied to it, if he has that, that's what's going to help him, because you get those people and you get those faithful Trump supporters, boy, and then you got the independents, because they getting a lot of independent voters too. It's an easy win. I can't see why he will win unless there's some shenanigans going on.
Support former President Donald Trump's plan to deport anyone without legal immigration status. 46.1% support the plan, 45.6% oppose it. But listen to this next question on immigration. Which position most accurately reflects your view? We should secure our borders, and undocumented migrants who have committed no crimes should be given a pathway to citizenship over a period of years. 70.4% picked this one, while 23.5% agreed with this. We should secure our borders, and undocumented migrants should be immediately deported regardless of how long they have been here, their family, or their work status. With the likely matchup in the Senate race, Democrat Alyssa Slotkin leads Republican Mike Rogers by almost 5 points.
She is doing so much better than Mike Rogers amongst independent voters. And by independents, we mean those voters who don't affiliate with either party. She has about a 15-point lead right now.
That's crazy. And it's because you got Mike Rogers, and he's an FBI agent, and she's a CIA agent. Both of them are like tacky, corrupt people. They both are tacky, corrupt people. And you got a weak society right now. Michigan is weak, man. Weak. No logic. It's like a terrible society. And it's like, look, man, you get the society that you want, and I'm telling you, like, I don't know, man. I can't even tell you how the next 20 years is gonna go. If it keeps going in this direction, I can't tell you how it's gonna go, because I think it's a big earth-shattering situation is gonna happen even when if Trump loses. It's gonna be a major divide, and literally you're gonna have men and women. They're gonna divide. They're not gonna be around each other like that. You get what I'm saying? But women, they will be in the situation that they're in, but they're gonna find themselves. If you think you're getting used now, if you think a man don't want you now, he just makes you for temporary time now. Wait until y'all start getting more and more and more in control. When women start getting more and more in control, men gonna opt out. They're going to opt out. They're going to do whatever they're doing, whatever business they're going to do, and interaction that they got to have. But interacting with women in a very, like a situation of caring, no, it's going to be almost transactional. And that's it. They're going to go into it like that too. Women are normally transactional only. But now you're going to absolutely have a culture of men being transactional. And if they're like that, you have a more divided society, more lack of baby input, more immigration, all that crazy stuff. Look, it's about to get bad, dude. I'm telling you, it's about to get really, really nasty.
Back to immigration, our survey revealed that immigration is a top concern among voters, especially our male respondents. They cited it as their top issue behind the economy. But breaking it down further, it was not a top issue for independent voters. We're live in Detroit. Will Jones, Local 4.
All right. Thank you, Will.
Okay. So look. I think you got some good points out of that. Good points out of that, okay? Look. I want to say this to you, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, but really the ladies. We let you guys have your voice for the last 40, 50 years. We let you do whatever you want. Like, integrate what you perceive society should go and how society should go and what you think that's for the betterment of women and everything. We let y'all have it. And we still willing to let you have it. We don't want to take it away from you. We want you to give it. We try to give it to you. We just try to say, okay, don't you want a little like traditional structure going on here? Don't you want a little bit of something that makes sense? And women they going crazy. Women, if we all sit women down, put them in front, ask them a certain amount of questions, and I got the questions. We ask you certain questions. You all are gonna, I say majority of you are gonna say, we don't like what's popping off right now. We don't like that we can't retire when we want to retire. We can't stay home when we want to stay home. We got to keep chasing that bag. We hate this. We really hate this, dog. We hate hitting the pavement. We hate working so hard. We hate stressing out so hard. We hate going to debt so much. We hate the responsibility of trying to figure how do we structure our lives. We hate it. We hate it. Men have taken a backseat too long. We hate how men have just totally given up dominance and structure of us and family and how the world is, and because we raised by our mothers and we just don't want to fight women. We really don't. So what do you want? You want to go to work? Okay, go. Okay, you want to get a divorce? Okay, go. That's how we've been for the last 40, 50 years. Oh, you want to get an abortion? Go. You know, like, come on. We've been, look, men have pacified women to the oblivion, okay? The passivity has reconstructed America and will reconstruct America. That's what's going on. Men have given so much passivity to women. Men have given so much passivity to women, and women hate it. They hate men for it now. You hate us from allowing women to be free and have autonomy. And now y'all want to fantasize like you don't got it. The reason why you hate men, why you think men are betas, or we weak, or he's not a real alpha. The reason why you think that is because men just like, oh, no, don't want to argue. What you want to do? Okay, go do it, have fun, go do it. Men are passive. It's in our DNA to dominate you, to completely put you in your place. It is the easiest thing that we could do. Easy. It's effortless for us to do that. Why are we not doing it? We're trying to let you have your voice. You ask for that. You say that we've been barbaric and we evolved, okay? You're saying that we're lack of ability to evolve. We showed you that we evolved for the last 40, 50 years and you hate it. And it has made society even worse. We have terrible stuff with our society because of it. Things that used to be taboo and in a closet, it is out in the open and it's regular. I always tell people, man, please, man, y'all got to do some work. Go take a camera crew. I'll do it. Hit that Cash App up and hit that PayPal up. And I promise you, I'll do this and have this put together for you guys in a week. I'm a filmmaker, so this is what I do. You need to go to Chicago. You need to go to Chicago. You need to go to Houston and you need to go to Atlanta. And find out the true value of the black culture, because those will tell you. Even go to Washington D.C. Oh, wow, trust me on this. You see what the true culture of Black America is. You'll find it out in those 4 places: Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Washington D.C. Go do some work. You'll see who we really are, and that's the society that women made. Look, you know what? You heard enough from me. Let me let you listen to some women.
This year, one of the most coveted voting blocs for either campaign is suburban women. In 2020, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overwhelmingly swept into office off the immense support of ladies in the suburbs.
But this time around, it's important to know exactly who we're talking about when we're referring to these ever-important suburban women. These days, suburban women are more diverse than ever before, racially, ethnically, and even economically.
To get their take on this election, Melissa and I sat down with a group of intergenerational Black women who live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, an area critical.
Boy, I mean, that bald-headed lady, she's a whack job from MSNBC, okay? She's a whack job from MSNBC, okay? So, but I know. Look, I'm trying to. I'm gonna let this play for a little bit. I'll be right back to you guys. Let you play.
Voting blocs for either campaign is suburban women. In 2020, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overwhelmingly swept into office off the immense support of ladies in the suburbs.
But this time around, it's important to know exactly who we're talking about when we're referring to these ever-important suburban women. These days, suburban women are more diverse than ever before, racially, ethnically, and even economically.
To get their take on this election, Melissa and I sat down with a group of intergenerational Black women who live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, an area critical to Democrats and Republicans in this election.
You think when people talk about the suburbs, they're not thinking about y'all?
Not at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Why not?
We're painted with a paintbrush that says we're not supposed to be out here anyway.
Right.
That we're not successful, that we don't have the same economic value that people who don't look like us have.
The first question when you move in a neighborhood, where do you work? Not what is your name, where do you work?
What do you do? The first thing they look at us and they think, you got where you are because of diversity. You're a diversity hire. You are some kind of hard luck case, and you came up on a success because of what we gave you. And we all worked hard. All of us worked hard to be where we are.
I wonder how all of you are thinking about this upcoming election and the various issues and what they mean for your families and how it will shape the way you think about your choice in 2024.
I think in today's economy, I'm almost afraid to say this. When I lived in Maryland, I was a registered Republican.
Whoa!
In Maryland, there were a lot of people like me, and I wasn't afraid to say it. In today's time, I'm almost afraid to admit that because people look at you like you're crazy because everything is so divided.
I mean, I think we took for granted in the last election, you know, that our voice does matter and that, you know, there's affirmative action. Like, we didn't think that would go away, right? And we got lazy about it sometimes. And so I think that, as well as abortion, you know, obviously is a huge, you know, change in our society.
And the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Supreme Court. I mean, if we just take a pause, it's scary. It is scary.
And it's going to be on the line in the next election.
100%. 100%. And is this the decorum, or lack thereof? Is that now the standard?
What do the young Black women think?
I don't want to speak for everyone, but I do
decorum.
think
Is that
our
the standard?
generation, it's hard to focus on.
This world was built on grit, okay? This world was built on profanity, the vile language, wildness, just the most blunt, common sense, logic interactions in the world. This decorum? See, this is what happens when you give Black people money. They start to get uppity. And the things that gives success and the dogmatic ways that women are in their world and the decisions that they make as corporate women and stuff, these things that they do psychologically to even physically put themselves and mentally put themselves in a place to be a leader and a manager or something like that, is very contentious because it is confrontational. You have to dominate over people. You have to intimidate people. Know that you're giving intimidation to people just because of your title, and actually like it and emphasize on it. That's rude. It's belittling. It's disrespectful to the person you're doing it to. But that built this world. That behavior built this world. So when they say stuff like, oh, it's just something that the decorum and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, you want that. You want it. Even in your world, you want some dogmatic stuff. You get what I'm saying? So it's ridiculous to act like you don't. Trying to see what channel the Detroit Tigers on. I'm sorry.
Coveted voting blocs for either campaign is suburban women. In 2020, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overwhelmingly swept into office off the immense support of ladies in the suburbs.
But this time around, it's important to know exactly who we're talking about when we're referring to these ever-important suburban women. These days, suburban women are more diverse than ever before, racially, ethnically, and even economically.
To get their take on this election, Melissa and I sat down with a group of intergenerational Black women who live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, an area critical to Democrats and Republicans in this election.
You think when people talk about the suburbs, they're not thinking about y'all?
Not at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Why not?
We're painted with a paintbrush that says we're not supposed to be out here anyway.
Right.
That we're not successful, that we don't have the same economic value that people who don't look like us have.
The first question when you move in a neighborhood, where do you work? Not what is your name, where do you work?
What do you do? The first thing they look at us and they think, you got where you are because of diversity. You're a diversity hire. You are some kind of hard luck case, and you came up on a success because of what we gave you. And we all worked hard. All of us worked hard to be where we are.
I wonder how all of you are thinking about this upcoming election and the various issues and what they mean for your families and how it will shape the way you think about your choice in 2024.
I think in today's economy, I'm almost afraid to say this. When I lived in Maryland, I was a registered Republican.
Whoa!
In Maryland, there were a lot of people like me, and I wasn't afraid to say it. In today's time, I'm almost afraid to admit that because people look at you like you're crazy because everything is so divided.
I mean, I think we took for granted in the last election, you know, that our voice does matter and that, you know, their affirmative action. Like, we didn't think that would go away, right? And we got lazy about it sometimes. And so I think that, as well as abortion, you know, obviously is a huge, you know, change in our society.
And the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Supreme Court. I mean, if we just take a pause, it's scary. It is scary.
And it's going to be on the line in the next election.
100%.
Ridiculous.
100%. And is this the decorum, or lack thereof? Is that now the standard?
What do the young Black women think?
Yeah, be
I don't
back
want
to
to speak
winning.
for everyone, but I do think our generation, it's hard to focus on what's going to happen 40, 50 years from now. And all our generation sees student loans, issues with getting jobs, things like that, where obviously that ebbs and flows over time, no matter who's in the White House. But it's just hard to, I feel like, get our generation to see the long-term effects of not being or using your political voice through voting or getting out there and just spreading whatever word you feel is best that you believe in.
There's a growing sense of nihilism from our generation that essentially feels frustrated because we see the system as broken. A lot of us are in a moment where, like Alexis,
how do you feel the system is broken and who's been in charge is your people because of Roe v. Wade? Because, like, what, you can't have unlimited abortions that the government tells you that you can have, and that you got to actually go to the ballot box and get unlimited abortions in your state? That's about it. It's ridiculous, man. But boy, they base everything around abortion.
said, getting crushed by student loans. Inflation is absolutely ridiculous at the moment. A lot of my classmates, because I said I just got my master's, so a lot of my classmates are looking for jobs. Thank you. Only 4 of us out of 20 got jobs.
Wow. You always hear people feel like the economy is going in a wrong direction and they don't feel great about the economy, and poll after poll. But my follow-up question always, who do you blame? Who do you blame for the current economic, or do you blame anybody? Thoughts.
I think the simplest thing is you blame the current administration.
Yep.
That's just natural. I think what both parties are missing in this discussion is the nuance.
Black women, when they go to the polls, to me, my experience has been the black women are thinking about a whole lot more than just themselves when they're going to the polls.
All day.
And I don't know if everybody else who's going to the polls has that mentality. What do you think about that?
I think as Black women, and especially in this case, thinking beyond ourselves, it's about winnability because the alternative is so scary.
And I think
Yeah, that's crazy, man. See, not thinking about yourself is because you got to take care of yourself in order to take care of somebody else. So you got to take care of your economics in order to help other people with their economics and their businesses, or be it a investor or entrepreneur or growth to be board members and stuff like that. That's how life is supposed to be. You're supposed to take care of yourself, your home, your situation, your goals and everything like that. Then you stabilize that and then you magnify that out. That's how you're supposed to do. I mean, obviously, me as a black man, you can't really do that because you almost gotta sacrifice your own comfort in order to succeed on the goal. If you succeed on the goal, then when you make that work and make this company successful or the goal successful, then you can feed off that, and then you can help other people in that direction. I think that's pretty much how a lot of things go for people that don't have great backings and nest egg. You almost gotta sacrifice your comfort and your ability and your happiness in order to make the goal successful, the thing that you're gonna feed off of. And then once you make that successful, then by it being successful, it can take care of you, and then you may be able to span out to other people. That's how that is. Let me let them finish this up.
we get taken for granted that, they're just going to look at the ballot and go all the way down and not even read it.
I feel like a lot of the time, the country will rely on us to correct a wrong that's been made. And to be completely honest with you, it's very frustrating.
So a number of you have mentioned the Supreme Court, and I think one of the things that's been really top of mind in this election cycle is reproductive rights, and specifically access to abortion. Are you thinking about this and the other assaults on reproductive freedom, including in vitro fertilization, which is a way that many people are starting their families now?
I have friends that are still, trying to have children and that are at an age maybe where they do need, say, IVF, or, they could have problemsome pregnancies and their life could be on the line because a judge or, a lawmaker wants to make that decision for them. So it is top of mind for me. It's definitely I think, driving force for why I'm gonna go vote.
And I don't have children, but I think about my niece. And if they're talking about their decision with our fallopian tubes, where else does that go?
Yeah.
Where do we go from there? And the people that are making these decisions are not a lot of women.
It's such a slippery slope, the idea that we could legislate every scenario that a woman goes through in her reproductive health. When we start opening up these laws to say this many weeks or this or that or this exception or that exception, it's never ending. We've already opened the door and we've already seen what's happened even in this short time of opening that door.
Still ahead on Black Women in America. We're taking our road trip to Hollywood for a check-in with none other than actor and political activist Kerry Washington. She has a strong message for politicians who are on the ballot this year. Stay tuned, and in the words of Olivia Pope, it's handled.
They have to do what we want them to do because we put them there. We have the power to keep them there or remove them from office.
So sad. And it's just the way that they think too. You get what I'm saying? To give these people that just, they looking at women, look, I'm letting you guys see how women think and what they're discussing and what the situation that they're discussing. And obviously they had the things I think is common sense and stuff too, but their solution to it was, hey, and then you got the bald-headed lady. Remember, she's the head of this. She's the reporter, and they all are just women in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But she led them to say, because they were all starting to group up together and start to talk about, this inflation is out of control and stuff. And then she interjected her psychological, her propaganda, her narrative. Hey, But don't black women worry about if somebody else accept themselves? Don't black women worry about other people besides themselves to make them say, stop worrying about the inflation, stop worrying about how much the economy is hurting you, and worry about the betterment of other people? Crazy. And they all channeled in, yes, you're right. We shouldn't worry about ourselves. We should worry about other people. No, you should invest in other people. Make sure you tight. Make sure your economy tight. Make sure the government and taxes and inflation is not hurting you. That way, that excess funds that you have, you can invest in somebody else's growth. That gives money back to you in dividend, and it magnifies somebody else when that person becomes successful to open themselves up to help someone else grow. That's how that works. But she conned them.
Or do you blame anybody? Thoughts.
I think the simplest thing is you blame the current administration.
Yep.
That's just natural. I think what both parties are missing in this discussion is the nuance.
Black women, when they go to the polls, to me, my experience has been the black women are thinking about a whole lot more than just themselves when they're going to the polls.
All day.
And I don't know if everybody else who's going to the polls has that mentality. What do you think about that?
I think as Black women, and especially in this case, thinking beyond ourselves, it's about winnability because the alternative is so scary.
And I think we get taken for granted that.
So see how that was? I just wanted to show you that, guys. But let's go to some other conversation. This was the next one. Let's go to how the men are, and I'm gonna give you some. Just to see how the men are moving on this.
We're just over a month away from the U.S. presidential election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. They continue to focus on key demographics like uncommitted voters and independents in critical swing states like Michigan. But now,
it seems like both candidates, both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, feel the black male vote is in play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the black male vote is in play. The only thing that's changed, I think, is African-American men haven't felt tangibly seen what the Democratic Party has done for them over the years.
Detroit native Al Williams is founder and president of the African American Leadership Institute and a Democratic political strategist. He says most black men have traditionally voted Democratic over the years, but while some may be open to change,
any black man looking at this election should understand that there is a history of racial tendencies by one of the candidates. And then there's a history of, whether you can see it or not, of a black woman who's always stood for black people.
Well, when Donald Trump was the president, I did see gas was like $1.60, and it was like, oh man, it's 1993 all over again.
Detroit native and Grammy-nominated hip-hop artist and producer, the electrifying Filthy Rockwell is a community leader and activist who also has a pulse on the hip-hop community nationally and locally.
In the hip-hop community, people are talking about stuff like, oh, well, he freed all these black people. He freed different people in the hip-hop community. He even pardoned Kwame.
I had to challenge everything that I used to espouse. I had to challenge my stance on abortion.
Former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick is currently featured in a Michigan GOP radio ad. He was convicted on 24 federal felony counts of mail fraud, wire fraud, and racketeering in 2013. Kwame was sentenced to 28 years in federal prison, but former President Donald Trump pardoned him in 2020. Rockwell says that resonated for some here locally.
You can't ask us Detroiters, black us to be like, come on, Kwame home.
We randomly approached several black men on the street for their thoughts on the upcoming election.
This election is very important for African Americans as a whole. We have to go out and vote, make our voices heard, because win or lose, baby.
There's only so much the president can do as far as what my wish list is or whatever. I just need to determine who do I think is more likely to support many of the ideas or initiatives that I like.
As for which candidate black men should vote for,
I know that black men are looking and trying to find their right candidate. All I say is look at the history.
Things have changed a lot, but it changed because we're in the new America. Like, it's a different America.
In downtown Detroit, I'm Ryan Marshall for 7 News Detroit.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm multitasking as we do this. Sorry about that. But the crazy part about that is they had the Kwame Kilpatrick thing and stuff. So it's the girls are sitting there talking and they all elegant and everything, and they're kind of talking to each other in a nice little kitchen and all astute, and then the men are just rough edges and just dumb communication. And Kwame Kilpatrick, he's a crook, he's a criminal, he's a blah blah blah. That's the narrative. And the reason why I showed that, because I want you guys to see how they're projecting men into the actual communication, and then that may veer a lot of people to Kamala when you present stuff like that, because it seems like a bunch of Neanderthal and dumb men are kind of supporting possibility of supporting Trump or something like that, and they don't know no better, and they just Neanderthals.
In 2008, 58% of young people leaned Democratic. 2012, 53%. And in the last two major election years, that percentage held steady at 55%. But in 2023, that number dipped below 50% for the first time since 2005. And you'll notice right here, they've started to lean more Republican. And that's partly because of one specific group: young men. Young men have increased their support of the Republican Party from 35% to 48%, a 13 percentage point increase in just 7 years. And this is a new trend. While 2020 exit polls show that young men backed Biden by 15 percentage points, a February 2024 Wall Street Journal poll found they favored Trump by 14 percentage points. And this loss of young male voters is a major issue for the Democratic Party going into November. The question now, can Kamala Harris bring some back? Here's what's driving young men to support Republicans and what it could mean for the presidential election to come.
America great again.
When we ask young voters, what issue is most important to you when you go to cast a vote? Among young men, it's the economy. Among young women, it's abortion.
17% of men say the economy is the most important issue, followed by democracy and immigration. Whereas for young women, the top issue is abortion.
Crazy.
By a lot.
Why is this happening? Audiences are diverging.
Young men without a college degree.
That's crazy, man. That just that's something, man. And there's always more women than men, so you got to hope that a good 40% of those women are voting for Trump because they're, common sense women or something. I don't know, or they men are telling them, and they got a good. Look, I know. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm trying to, censor myself as I'm communicating this, but it's a men versus women election. That's what it's telling you.
We have seen the greatest decline in labor force participation. Meanwhile, a record 87% of college-educated women are in the workforce. And today, women make up 60% of college graduates.
This division that we're seeing between young men and young women, it goes beyond who they're going to vote for Congress or president. It goes to a range of policy issues. So then let's look at what the government is offering. The Biden administration has moved to forgive federally funded student loans. That affects young women more than young men.
During the 2019-2020 school year, 49% of female undergraduate students took out loans, compared to only 42% of male undergraduates. And 66% of all student debt is carried by women.
The young women favored forgiving student loans by 45 percentage points. The young men were about equally divided. I mean, that's a big difference.
Meanwhile, young men support extending Trump's tax cuts by 23 percentage points, which cut the corporate tax rate and reduced some individual income tax.
And now, because of our tax cuts, you can keep more of your hard-earned money.
But women oppose the proposed extension by 20 percentage points, a full 43-point difference.
That's data that goes like this: young men headed in one direction and young women in the other. That's a big difference. Data does not usually segment young voters that remarkably. This is something new.
Which brings us back to this chart. 22% of young female voters say abortion is their #1 issue in this election, a key aspect of Harris's campaign.
We trust women to make decisions about their own body.
Only 3% of young male voters said the same. And young men and women stacked up differently on other issues as well. With immigration, Trump's policies are much more likely to be supported.
I'm telling you, this is men and women, men versus women election, man. It's ridiculous.
By men than women. Men support deploying troops at the border by 10 percentage points, whereas women oppose this policy by 15 points.
Wow.
And when it comes to building the wall, one of Trump's key immigration policies, men are only slightly leaning towards opposition, but women overwhelmingly oppose it.
Wow.
These gaps are hard
That's
to
it?
explain just by differences in lived experience, which brings us to the second thing that explains the gap between young men and women.
What are the candidates and what are the parties saying to young voters? Donald Trump and the Republican Party are putting out a lot of messages expressly intended to appeal to young men. Donald Trump has gone to Ultimate Fighting Championship matches. He recently appeared on the podcast of Logan Paul. He went to a sneaker convention to sell his own brand of sneakers.
We got to get young people out to vote.
These are audiences that are overwhelmingly male and overwhelmingly filled with young men. And it's a way that Donald Trump and his campaign have been saying, hey, young men, I'm with you. I'm on the same page as you. I understand you.
Meanwhile,
a lot of the messaging from the Democratic Party has been towards issues that are more salient for women.
When I am President of the United States, I will sign into law the protections for reproductive freedom.
So what does this mean for November? Young women historically vote at higher rates than young men. But experts say that with a tight election, the Democratic Party will need to draw in as many votes as possible. The next challenge for the Republican Party will be figuring out how to turn these young male supporters into actual voters.
Crazy. But look, I just want y'all to look at the numbers and look at you may not like it, but it's a man versus woman election. And that's what's going on here, y'all. I'm going to try to wrap this up real quick, y'all, because we going a little bit too long. So maybe I'll do the rest on the next one. But that's what I want to kind of say to you guys. Like, the reason why I wanted to present this to you guys is the mindset. Also, understanding that our morals and our values are separating so much. And even if it's separating so much, we can't even identify ourselves anymore. We don't even know what moralities or values that we're supposed to interject into homes, into families. So that's what's going on there. So, hey, I'm going to end this one and we're going to come back on and do another podcast, and I can kind of take you guys through some more mindset of the election things and everything like that. Because there's a couple polls I wanted to show more, but I also wanted to go into how, because I think the two most important people for this election for my side will be Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk. And there's the money and the power that's in those two people is supposed to kind of let us know what the most likely outcome will be. We shouldn't be waiting till November to find that out. They should kind of know now. So I just want to know, what did Charlie Kirk do for the last 2 years that actually that took all the hundreds of millions of dollars that everybody's giving him to make sure that we got ground game, to make sure that we got ballot harvesting, to make sure that we know what's going on in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, or Arizona. Why are we not knowing what's up? Why are we losing people or losing search structures in North Carolina? And it's just ridiculous, you know? So look, I could go forever on this, but we'll do that in the next episode. So I'll check you guys later, and I'll see you on the next episode.
The black vote is expected to play a critical role in the path to the presidency, especially in swing states like Michigan.
Both campaigns.